Hey folks, welcome back to Mark Kelly Farm. Not much has changed out in the garden this week. Seeds are still sprouting and things are getting going, but not a lot of change. So we're not going to get back out there until we see a little bit more. But we're going to jump back in the kitchen. Our pie series that we did was well received. So I thought we'd do a cake series this week or over the next week or so. And we'll get this thing started today, so stick around. So the cake I'm going to start you out with is a super easy cake. I got this cake recipe from my first ex-wife's grandmother. I know that's confusing, but her name was Marge. Fantastic lady, really good cook. Always enjoyed going to her house. And she gave me this cake recipe years ago after she'd made it, and I tried it, and I'm like, wow, can I have that recipe? So she gave it to me. So I call it Marge's apple cake is what I call it. And it could not be easier. So let's jump into it and I'll give you the ingredients. So for this recipe, you're going to combine all your dry ingredients and combine all your wet ingredients, and then you're going to mix them together. You could probably do it in one bowl, just combine your dry ingredients because there's only 2 wet ingredients to dump in, and just do it all in the same bowl. That's probably possible. So for our dry ingredients, we have 2 cups of sugar, 2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 3/4 teaspoon of salt. And you're going to incorporate that all together so it's all one mixture. And then on our wet bowl, we have 2 eggs and 1/2 cup of oil. Now anybody that bakes can tell you if you want to eliminate the oil in your recipes, substitute the same amount of applesauce for your oil. And generally your recipe will come out exactly the same. You probably won't even be able to tell the difference. And that's a good way to cut the oil. So I'm going to mix this stuff together and we'll combine the wet ingredients and we'll tell you what else is going in this cake. Alright, we got our wet and our dry combined. Now, if you're used to making cakes, you can already see that this doesn't look like a batter. It looks more like a dough. And the first time I made this cake, I thought I did something wrong. And I phoned a friend, of course. I called Grandma Marge and I said, hey, this thing's really not coming together right. It doesn't look like cake batter. And she says, no, it's not going to look like that. It's going to be more dense. But it's going to make a fantastic cake, believe me. So don't be worried. Just make sure you got everything combined and you don't have a lot of loose material in there. Everything's put together. So the next thing we're going to add, she adds a cup of chopped walnuts. I use just about any nut. I got a cup of chopped almonds here because that's what I have. And then it calls for 4 cups of chopped green apples. I'm going to use our canned apples from the farm here. And remember, a pint is 2 cups. So I'm going to put 2 pints of our good canned apples in here. We have our apples and our nuts combined. Now these apples are cooked, so they're going to be a little bit different consistency going in than your fresh apples will be. And I left all the juice in those apples because a fresh apple, when it cooks, will release a lot of juice. So the moisture is going to be just about the same when we get the end result to the cake. So I'm going to get me a 9x13 cake pan. I'm going to spray it with some Pam, and then we're going to dump this in there. Now Grandma Marge always made this in a bundt cake pan, which you can do if you want to fancy it up a little bit. But I like it just like it is. It's fine. Okay, our oven is preheated, ready to rock. We're going to throw this baby in. Now again, that's a 350-degree oven. It's going to bake for around 40 minutes. And you want to do the toothpick check in the center of the cake. Make sure the toothpick comes out clean. Because if you don't cook this cake enough, the inside's going to be really gooey and doughy and not done. And I've done that before, and that's not a good experience. So make sure it's good and done. You'll know if you didn't do it right because the center of the cake will cave in and it'll be a mess. But We'll start checking it around 35 minutes to see where we're at. But I'll tell you what the total time is once we pull it out. So we got the cake in the oven. We're waiting for it to get done. The recipe calls for green apples, like any good baking apple will do though. Or whatever your favorite apple is. Just keep in mind, if you use a sweeter apple, your recipe is going to turn out a lot sweeter. So I think a baking apple would be a really good choice. And the apples that we canned here on the farm were a nice tart baking apple. Now, Grandma Marge has since passed away. She lost her fight with lung cancer. That's been quite a few years back now. But we were sad to see her go. She was just a wonderful lady. Really, really good-hearted woman. Very hard-working woman. She was amazing. Okay, folks, it took about 40 minutes. And our toothpick came out perfectly clean. This is what it looks like when it's done. And you could top it with some whipped cream or anything else that you wanted to do, but I eat it just straight like this. But you could come up with any kind of really frosting that you wanted if you needed it. But it's really good just like that. So super simple and easy and fast cake to make. And just fantastic. You're really going to like this one. I thought I'd do it as a tribute to Grandma Marge. We loved her to death. So give this cake a try. You will not be disappointed. Come back and see us for the next cake in line. You're going to like that one too. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. We'll catch you later.